Hello and welcome. We are in the sixth chapter of our mass communication module. And today is a very interesting chapter, which is as simple as every day that we talk about what is news. Now, very simple. News comes from four very important parts of the compass, which is north, east, west, and south. So simple as that. This is actually a question, surprisingly. So the four words that becomes a part of a compass, everything around is what news is. Now, what is news is a simple question. News is something that is giving you information of a or report of a current event. So anything that gives you any news of the current event is news. You get news from all across. There is newspaper, television, radio, and internet, which is what we do today. Today you have 24 by 7 news in websites, online, social media, Twitter, which is absolutely common. Recently, as I'm speaking about, there was a major earthquake in Turkey, and some parts around 1,200 to 1,300 people have died. Now, this is an international news, a breaking news, and we will decide and learn all of it around this news. So, what we do is basically, very importantly, if anything that is current, is basically what we call asking the right questions. For example, what is a major difference between news and information? Information is giving you a perspective. So, example, I give you information about earthquakes in the world, but immediately there's an earthquake that happened today. As I speak about it on 6th of February, that is news. So, information could be just a train. Toronto starts from Mumbai to Nagpur. But if the train timing has changed, the added train has come in, this becomes news. So, news, remember, my friends, is anything that is current. So, how is information different from news? News is something which gives something additional as value addition. Now, there are 6 friends for anybody to understand a news. Very importantly, 6 questions that make a news. We call it very in simple terms the 5 W's and 1 H. What are the 5 W's? Where, what, when, why, and who. And W is how. So all of this is where we are talking about where, what, why, when, and who. And W is in how. This is a simple part of what is asking questions. So anytime somebody comes with the news to you, said, where did it happen? When did it happen? Who was involved? How did it happen? What was the consequences? Just remember, this is what we do. So example, anything about a stock price of a particular thing is information. Consumer price index is an information. Stock changes, suddenly it becomes news. So the world of news is very interesting. So today, journalists are the people who report news. What are the journalist perspective? What is a point used by journalists to tell if newsworthy or not? There'll be many points. I'll give you some interesting points. Number one feature of it is it timelessness? So, let's say again, take the earthquake as an example. So, is it absolutely in time? Is it real time happening? So, journalists and TV news have 24 hours, every second is a deadline. So, they ask these questions. So, number one, is it important? Number two, impact. What's the impact of it? For example, COVID was newsworthy because it's impacted you locally. So, also, after the impact, it is about proximity. Is it in your city? Is it right now in your place? Is it happening an accident? There are many accidents. There's a plane accident that happened in Nepal. It's news. But if a plane even runs away from the runway and has a small mishap, that is news if it's locally in Mumbai, as I speak about. So this is 3 very important things. So remember, timeless. So what is the timeliness? What is the impact, and what is the proximity? Kitna kareeb hai, how close it is to you. Other 3 things that makes it newsworthy is what we call controversy. People love to talk about controversy. Somebody made a statement, a politician said something bad, a terrorist attack, some bomb, something that goes against. It's a controversial thing. It's something immediately to look into news. Also today, one very important word you must remember is called currency. News is about current event. So there is a FIFA World Cup that happened in Qatar. Now, it is also controversial where people say there was bribe being paid, whatever. It is current. Argentina winning the World Cup, it's very big. So what is currency in news? Anything that is real-time current event is called currency. And it's a very important indicator if it's newsworthy or not newsworthy. Also, if it is something odd, so something extraordinary happened, a blind man suddenly gets an eye from his own neighbor's son. Something as such. A man starts singing for 3 days continuously. Very odd. It was also newsworthy. These are all side news trivia, but these are newsworthy. Also, something that is emotional. The story of a kidnapping of a young boy or somebody being killed in a school. Very sad news is, but these are emotional news, or old people dying out of cold wave in Delhi. It's all emotional, and these are many ways to look at it. But if you have to find out any two odd news item, think of politics and sports. So I said an odd news item is suddenly Qatar is doing a World Cup in the midst of all heat wave. Odd news. Air conditioned stadiums are there. Politics is always odd. India and China sign a new deal where to protect the borders. Very sad because China and India are not on good terms. So these are what we talk about odd news as such. Now, how do you know that news is from where does it come from? So there are 4 areas. Usually we call it global perspective. Is it an international news? Anything to do with like Turkey's earthquake is international. Is it national news? Something happened in Rajasthan, it's national news. Is it regional news? Something happened in Nagpur or Maharashtra is regional. Local news, something happened in Mumbai itself is local news. So remember, the news could be international, national, regional, and local. Pick up a newspaper anywhere. I've got a newspaper here with me. And Times of India, we spoke so much of print news. Look at the newspaper, and the moment you see first page, second page, you will see all these news coming in. The last page is usually sports, there's advertisement, there's international news, there's local news, there's players, some murders happen, some accident happen, somebody travel, a new dignitary is coming, index prices, stock market, so many things is all news. Now, how do you win credibility of a news? Well, the source is very important. So who is giving the news? Is it a fair paper? So 3 very important words for journalists is credibility, objectivity, and fairness. Let's start with objectivity. Objectivity is news is written without any bias. So the journalist does not have any personal, political, religious bias. The journalist is non-objective. Is the news fair? Has both sides been held accountable, or we just start blaming it? Today an actor does something, we blame the actor immediately, or anybody, or a particular religion. So we are fair. Are we fair about it? And finally, the most important part, credibility. Over the period of time, you get lots of WhatsApp messages, fake messages. Suddenly a WhatsApp message comes in, Corona has started spreading again. Don't listen to it. Or you also get, messages about that somebody, there is a hartal tomorrow. WhatsApp messages, be very, very careful. So is it credible? So newspapers and news magazines and news TV channels are very particular that are there in the particular message. Is the right message gone? And this is a very important part. So remember, a quick recap of this chapter. What are we doing? Who, what, where, when, why, how? News items. Is it timeless? Impact, proximity, controversy, prominence, currency. We spoke about the currency, emotion, how useful it is. And the news could be international, national, regional, local. And in the next chapter, we'll quickly talk about what are the hard and soft news, but that's for some other day. Hopefully you do your chapters well and you understand these things. Good luck.